Hello, today I want to talk with you about your intuition. I know this is a topic I talk about a lot, but I bring it up because I use it so much in my work and I see how much it affects the happiness and the joy of the people that I read for. And I really think the happiness of joy of all of us. Now, I stress again and again, intuition is something that we all have. It's something that we're all born with. And it's really a sense that I think that is really naturally developed in us as children. But I think over time, adults, experiences, challenges that we have in life, I think kind of layer over our intuition. And sometimes we begin to doubt or question that inner guidance that we're all born with. Why are we born with this intuition? Why do we have this inner guidance? What's the point of it? I think the point of it is to guide us back to our soul and to our true joy and what we're here to do. And I think when we get lost in our overthinking, our self-doubts, our fears, our minds, we lose sight of who we authentically and truly are. And I really believe that's really part of the core of the work that I've been doing all these years with people through readings and through coaching, is to help people come back to their authentic self, their true self, who they're really meant to be in this world, authentically, truthfully, and what really brings them joy. Many years ago, when I was feeling kind of stuck and flat in my own life, I was working at the time where because I worked in a children's library, I was able, on my off time, I could read reference books, I could read books that would help me in my work when I helped answer questions and so forth. And right behind me, one day I noticed that there were these books about, well, actually there were these books about people that were writers and artists and so on. But I also noticed that there was this book written for children about people who essentially followed their dreams. And there were all sorts of people in this book. And I was reading through this book one day, and it had the photographs of the people in the book. And I clipped out this quote from the book, and I put it up on my bulletin board, which acts like a vision board that I've kept all these years, 20 years later. And this quote says, "I tell people to follow your dreams. If you dream these things, they are for you. You can't dream something that's not for you." And I kept it as inspiration for myself, but it's so relevant in the work that I do with people. All the time I see this, where people or spirit will show me visions, pictures, feelings, so on and so forth, or tell me about these dreams, these visions, these aspirations that my clients have. And it's like a relief, it's a validation, because behind the scenes in their own lives, they've begun to question or doubt or put something aside because they're not sure if it's something they should actually do, is going to lead to an outcome that's really going to bring them joy. So a lot of times these kind of things, people are questioning, doubting, or putting on the back burner. And when I read for someone, and really all I know is their name, I know nothing about them. And whether it's in a mediumship reading or an intuitive soul reading, and spirit shows me and tells me, it's such validation for my clients, but it's also such a validation of this quote that I just read, that spirit is not going to, the universe, spirit, God, divine, whatever you want to call it, your own soul, is not going to give you a dream that's not meant for you. The reason you're having these intuitive inner feelings about something, this urge or this desire or this curiosity, is because your soul and your intuition is guiding you to follow that dream, to follow that purpose, to follow that feeling inside of you, no matter how subtle. Because when you follow that and you take that step, it leads to the next step and the next step, which eventually leads to this hopeful desire, dream, and outcome that you're hoping for. I've shared this before. Years ago, in my late 20s, I went to art school. I had been an art major in a very small private liberal arts college, but it was a really small art department. I only had one art teacher, and he wasn't really the most encouraging person, unfortunately. And I'd had this dream for years that I wanted to go to an actual art school. So long story short, I eventually was able to get a scholarship and go to this bigger art school. And the ironic thing is, a month into school, I knew that that wasn't really the path that I was supposed to take permanently. I felt like there was something more, but I didn't understand why I was having this feeling. I didn't understand, after relocating myself and my family, why in the world would I be having this feeling? I thought this was my dream. I've been working toward this dream for the last few years. Why am I having this feeling that there's something more? Well, one day I happened, because my part-time job was that I worked in the art library, and you would go and look for books or shelf books, whatever. So one day I was in the stacks and I discovered this book, and I wish to this day I'd written the name of this book down. But it was really about creative types, helping them find a sense of their purpose, their gifts, what they're here to do, that kind of thing. Now, I'd read all those other kind of mainstream books, like What Color is Your Parachute? I'd taken career tests, met with career counselors and so forth in my early to mid-20s. And while it was helpful, it still didn't really completely answer this feeling inside of me that I was beginning to feel more strongly of, I feel like there's something more I'm supposed to do, but I don't know what that is. Well, when I opened this book, and there was an assessment quiz that you could take, this book was not your traditional career assessment book, because I noticed that it had mystic in it. And I thought, that's me. That little word, reading that in that book, sent a light bulb off inside of me and went, yes, I'm interested in the mystical. I'm interested in the unknown, in the unseen, and in the spiritual. But I don't know how yet to form that into something that I would do. Well, what happened is, I've never forgotten this, and this was like 20 years ago. That was a sign from my guidance, from my intuition, to follow that. And because of that, I went on to take classes in intuition development and psychic ability, and many classes in the healing arts, and then eventually mediumship. And I always think back, I often think back on that, and I think, if I hadn't listened to my intuition, if I hadn't opened that book and been drawn by that word mystic, what if I'd followed that other path and done the thing that I thought, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I've worked for, but it wasn't really feeling right inside of me when I connected with my guidance and my intuition. So it's sometimes those subtle things, but how do you know? Because it gives you that little ping inside. It gives you that little aha. It makes you curious. It makes you want to know more. And that's what your intuition does. It makes you want to know more. It encourages and inspires you to keep going, to discover something more. And what I've noticed over the years of doing so many readings, I mean, I've lost track, hundreds and hundreds of readings probably over the years, is the guidance that comes through is always about helping people discover something more in themselves, using their gifts, using their natural talents that will lead them to that something more, that will help them feel more alive, more passionate and joyful in their lives, okay? Your intuition is not complicated. We complicate it because our minds get in the way and we begin to question. But initially, your intuition is going to be very likely an inner feeling. That's like they call it that sixth sense. It may not make a logical sense at the time. It may come in very suddenly. It may be this subtle feeling that you feel in the center of your being. Maybe you feel it in your heart. But there's just this feeling of yes, or that feels right, or like I said, I want to know more. What happens when I do readings, and I become more practiced at understanding intuition because of it, is I'm given words, symbols, pictures, visions, but I tune into my intuition for that feeling of, yes, this feels right. This feels right for my client. And that's how I connect what I'm given by spirit in the form of, messages, symbols, pictures, so on and so forth, with my own intuition. Now, how can you do this for you? Getting in touch with yourself, like I said, isn't complicated. It just takes time of quiet and reflection so that you know your energy, your frequency, and your vibration. Because what happens is, when we go into doubt and fear, when we go into questioning, we're allowing other people's voices, other people's opinions, and our own ego's fears get in the way. And that begins to cloud our trust in our own intuition. When we're young, a lot of times when we're children, we naturally are attuned to our instincts, to what feels right or wrong. That's why it's so refreshing. You know, sometimes when you're a parent, it's not, but it's very refreshing when you see young children. It's like, I don't want to do that. Or, no, I don't want to smile and I don't want to feel like it. I don't like that. Because they naturally are aligned with what's right for them. And over the years, a lot of us it's taught out of us, it's punished out of us, it's, judged out of us. And then we begin to think, I need to behave or do this thing so that I'm accepted, validated, so I fit in, so I do the right thing, wrong thing, whatever. All these things begin to happen to us. And it's almost like a process of the older we get, it's an unlearning of all the stuff that's been kind of put on us over the years. It's an unlearning of that, of getting back to that natural state of what feels right for me, what matters to me, and what will bring me joy. So that's why I wanted to emphasize today the importance of trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Hey there, Jerry. Your intuition is going to guide you to what will bring you fulfillment. What will make you feel more alive in your life? What will help you grow your business if you have a business or a practice? What will help you connect you to the right person or lead you to the next thing that it is that you need to do? What happens is when we connect to our intuition, we're expanding into our soul self. And our soul self is not limited only by our physical senses and our physical body. Our soul self is connected to that expanded self, which we sometimes call our higher self, which is connected to spirit and our divine self. Our divine and spirit self knows unconditional love. It knows that we have what we need to do what it is that we need to do. Our expanded higher self is the language of your intuition. Now, our mind wants to have proof. Our mind wants a guaranteed outcome. But our intuition says, try this, or what about this, or maybe this would be good, or maybe you would like this. That's the voice of your intuition. And over time, you can begin to learn to gradually trust it by acting on that guidance. I never would have done this work if I had analyzed it so much and made lots of checklists of this or that, or listened to other people's opinions or judgments. I never would have done this work. It got to the point where I knew I needed to do this work because it's where I was being guided to, and it was what would bring me joy. And when I stepped away from it, my life didn't feel as interesting, or I wasn't as fulfilled. So I knew that doing this type of spiritual work connected to spirit guidance, teaching people about their soul and their soul's development was part of my path and my purpose. And your path and your purpose is part of the work that I do. It's what I'm very passionate about, is helping people understand what their gifts are, what they're here to do, and how spirit communicates with you on a regular basis in your life to help you stay on that path and lead you to more joy. So that's all I wanted to say today very briefly. I'm trying to make these lives not so long so that you know inside of you, if you go back to that child that you were one time and you remember what it felt like to be in this natural state of joy, to be in this natural state of doing what felt right for you, that's how you're guided by your intuition. That's how your guidance works, and that's how spirit works with you. Every reading that I have done where I have brought through someone's loved one in mediumship, whether it's a grandmother, grandfather, whether it's a sibling, a parent, a child, a friend, in those messages, your loved ones want you to have a life that feels fulfilling, that's going to bring you joy, that's going to feel right and authentic for you. And so many times, the loved ones will come through with those types of messages, not about them, but about you, and helping you listen to yourself and listen what's right for you. So that's what I wanted to say today in this live. Please remember, your intuition is your natural birthright. We all have it. You know it transcends logic. You know that it transcends language. It's an inner feeling. We all have it. It's just a matter of remembering to listen within and remember what really brings you joy, what really matters to you, what you really want and desire and hope for in your life. Like I said at the beginning of this video, when I said that quote, you are not given a dream if it's not meant for you. The dreams you have in your heart are meant for you. And what happens as a result is when you follow that dream and you open and expand and trust your guidance, then you also help other people in their lives through bringing joy, fulfillment, and benefit to others. And that is so true. I've seen it so much in my work. When you follow your purpose, you believe in yourself, you expand who you are in this world, you bring more joy, fulfillment, and benefit to others. So thanks to those of you who may have joined me live or watched this recording. I once again send you much love and many blessings. And remember, listen to yourself and your intuition. There's a lot of wisdom inside of you. Take care. Bye-bye.